So, speaker engagement is more than just training. The main idea we're here to discuss is how we can up-level the total journey while keeping things simple. You need to be sure that you have everything that you need for your bureau to be trained on your data, your slide sets, legal and compliance policies for speaking on behalf of your companies. But there's so much more to it. There's the speaker nomination process, the contracting, the invitations, the managing all of the logistics and response tracking, the on-site program logistics, and the post-program feedback and evaluations. There's a lot to manage, a lot of processes, a lot of cooks in the kitchen, but they all need to work together to make a single awesome experience for your speakers. One thing we see happening with clients and across companies of all sizes is that program needs are getting more and more complicated, and so is the value of helping to keep things simple. So what do speakers want? Here's some interesting data from a dermatology company from 2020. What do speakers really value in their engagements with us? And you can see for the speakers and the brands, there's a lot of similarities. They want a reliable experience. They want consistency. They want a meaningful experience where they feel like their work is valued and they're making a difference, but they're also contributing to the art. So how do we make an amazing speaker journey? The first step we always recommend is to map it out. What are your main touch points in this process? And you can see some big ones are the invitations, the training, the program management, the ongoing engagement. Once the process is mapped out, you can layer in the key pieces for each part. What are the activities that happen in this step? Why is this important? What do speakers and the companies need to get from this? What questions might speakers have about this? And what are our biggest challenges to make things go perfectly? Once you complete this kind of grid, the opportunities for improvement kind of jump right out at you. And we have a template for this. If you're interested, I'll share my email with you at the end of this event. On the speaker journey, what are the tricks to doing that? Well, the Harvard Business Review recommends 4 things that you can do to do that. You can identify and communicate what simplicity means to you. You can't simplify everything, but what's most important and where can you really get the most bang for your buck? Maybe you have a limited team. Maybe it's a small team. Maybe there are certain operational or administrative tasks that can be simplified and taken off your plate so that you can spend more time doing really what matters most. Don't just focus on the system, focus on the experience. Can you visualize what each touch point a speaker will have looks like? Are they required to log into 4 systems to sign their contract, to see their upcoming events, to pull down a slide deck, to do a post program evaluation? Do they have to talk to multiple people to really execute on one program? Another way is to really simplify externally, embrace your internal complexities. The pharma teams are matrix. A lot of them are complex, and that's not going to change overnight. But we want to embrace solutions that work with you and not against you. And sometimes the answer is just that a more complex solution is best. But what we've often found is we consult with our clients on their internal systems and the processes that they're using is that we can generally always make at least a few recommendations to help them make their lives easier or provide them with recommendations on what we see other clients doing to help them, work with their own compliance team to make their lives easier. Let's look at some of the pain points we're seeing. Budget. We all know budget's a big one. Compliance. There is increasingly complex client compliance considerations that are being taken into account. And what we're hearing a lot is that for clients with maybe no new indications or year-over-year speaker training, some compliance teams are looking to move away from the annual speaker training meeting. Coordination. There's a lot of multiple stakeholders that need to be aligned behind the scenes. There's a cohesive vision and careful collaboration required to make it work. And there's a lot of systems that are used for different parts of the journey that oftentimes don't talk and don't feed into each other. We really feel these pain points every day. So we decided to design a state-of-the-art, across the board speaker management system that could actually make the speaker experience better and make life easier for teams. It's called CMGO. First, Why would it be necessary to build a comprehensive speaker management system in the first place? Well, we had a lot of clients who were dealing with system overload. They were adding boxes to their plan and they were complicating and making a lot of things from an internal operation standpoint more time consuming. They felt like they were starting from scratch every year and didn't have the tools in place to make things easier, standardized, more auditable, and more compliant. There were reporting challenges and fragmented information pieces that they had to piece together one system to another. And they really, at the end of the day, just wanted to offer their speakers one place to go. So I'd like to share a little bit of information from MarketWatch that the average marketer deals with over 75 systems to get their work done. 75 systems. I think we all can relate. The same is true for doctors today. Wouldn't it be great if you could unify most of your work and many common tasks into one place? Wouldn't your speakers appreciate that? We use CMGo to move from a world where speakers have multiple ways to connect with you, have to deal with multiple logins, and have different places to access data and slides and activities into one-stop shopping, and speakers love it. So let's look at speaker training and see some ways the experience can be up-leveled and how we can implement that without adding a ton of cost or complexity. Enriching an in-person training, pre-work, during the event, post-work. The standard engagement journey looks something like this. You get an invitation. We're tracking attendance. You come on site, you attend the program, and then you fill out a post-event survey. What can we do to make that a bit more engaging and add additional touch points with your speakers along this journey? Let's imagine that pre-event, you send out the invitation, you're able to offer pre-read materials, as well as do a pre-event survey so that you're able to really understand what are on your speakers' minds, what are they looking to learn, what questions do they have, so that that can be incorporated into the content and addressed during the live sessions. And then you can also, at those live sessions, incorporate in-session surveys with our PAT tool, so you can be asking for feedback in the moment. And then from a post-event standpoint, a couple days later, everyone gets home, you can push out a post survey to really understand what people have taken away from the event, what they've reflected on at home, and offer up learning reinforcement. Maybe it's bite-sized modules that you want to be able to push out that really addresses, what you've heard from them at this live event. But I know we just added a bunch of new boxes to the plan, and boxes cost time and money. Our idea is this. What if it didn't? Wouldn't we do things like this more often if we had the flexibility to do so? A speaker portal should make adding touch points faster and easier. That's our goal. So the box on the left says it all. In the time it took me to walk through this slide, my colleagues able to create and launch a pre-meeting survey and get it pushed out to your attendees, and it makes it really simple. It's really that easy. What about asynchronous training, though? When you let your speakers train at their own pace. So when asynchronous training can be amazing is when your in-person meeting is restricted for compliance reasons, when you need to reduce your costs substantially, or for complex or longer trainings where you really want to be able to break the content down into bite-sized digestible pieces. When you need to do something really quickly and rapidly, when you don't have a lot of ramp-up time, or when schedules for your speakers are very challenging. There are ways to make asynchronous training really more effective and easier to deploy. You can break the learning up into small pieces. You can serve up presentations, document reviews, videos, interview formats. You can intersperse surveys and provide space for your attendees to ask questions, open-ended questions. And you can punctuate the training with messages and interesting communications to really help liven it up and keep them engaged. We use the CMGo platform to handle beginning to end training, with the main goal being a really modern, smooth, and intuitive interface. Trainings are broken up into sequential tasks that can include didactic presentations, video document review, surveys. You can assemble the experience with simple building blocks and have the ability to create working groups and permission groups right within the system. The other side, we also know that managing these systems on the back end should be just as easy as sending an email. And here's an example of how a new training is put together.
Hi there, it's Bart again. This is CMGO and the back end where the magic happens. The design idea here is that you should never be more than a few clicks from where you need to be. Pretty refreshing, right? Along the left are the modules, so you can nominate speakers, manage contracts, set up events, deploy surveys, check where your budgets are, and manage training. Let's check out training. Here, and very importantly, you can track training that happens on or off the system. Sometimes you have live events, sometimes your MSLs have to do training one-on-one. You can track it all here, as well as setting up those big async activities. Let's set up a new training. Imagine this kind of like a Lego set. Answer a few questions and then assemble the pieces the way you like. It even works for advisory activities, but that's a party for a different day. The process is to name the activity, select the bureau, select the topic, decide how it'll be delivered, and then the fun part. You add training tasks in any order and then assign them to speaker groups or even to individual speakers. Instantly, your speakers can be notified of the new activity and start participating. It's really that easy.